Hi everyone, welcome to Bikini Design Club. Today we will be sewing 𝗿𝗹 swimsuit. We have here our pieces and you will have them not written by hand, of course. Make sure you see this video until the end because today we will be showing some options regarding the straps. And we have really tried to make different options for you, so in the end we will show you the different options that we thought. So let's start by cutting the fabrics. I will use this beautiful red with black today, and this is a reversible, but I'm not gonna sew this piece as a reversible, as you will see. So let's do it. Hello, welcome to Bikini Design Club. Today we will be sewing our swimsuit pattern 𝗿𝗹. Never mind my written annotations because this is not the final pattern, but I will be using my pattern to cut my pieces, and I will use this red fabric with my nude lining fabric specific for swimwear. And we will start by cutting the fabric. Please, today we want to make sure that you watch the video until the end of the video, because we will show you different options that you have for the straps. Let's start by cutting the fabrics to start sewing our beautiful swimsuit 𝗿𝗹. So I'm cutting two straps to make this like an outer top, and I will tie a small knot on my neck with these two straps. But I will include in the pattern another optional straps as I will demonstrate in the end of the video, because I believe this pattern can be used with so many different straps that I wanted to make sure that you put your creativity to work and you together with me, and you think about different ways you would like to sew this one piece. So this is a very sexy plunge V neckline, so this is not a swimsuit that everybody will love, but I hope you do. So I did it. Well, for the back, as you see me cutting the fabric, I always fold the fabric because I like to cut my pieces with the folded, even if they don't have a fold line, I always fold my fabric and cut two pieces at the same time, so that I'm sure that they are exactly the same size. In this case, I'm aligning my grain line with my fabric, and I'm gonna cut my two back pieces. I previously made another version of my 𝗿𝗹, and this was the first version. I actually have a video, and it's entirely made with a reversible method. So I'm gonna place this video on YouTube so that you can use the reversible method if you want to. But this time I'm gonna sew with a mixing method, so you can choose if you want completely reversible, and I think this will also depend on the way that you will prefer your straps. So I will sew this one with mixing methods, while this option will be completely reversible. So I have my lining piece for the front, my main fabric for the front. Never mind, this is not perfect and I have a hole here. I didn't want to waste my fabric, and this will be for tests, so it's okay. So this is my front, and this is also my front. Two lining for the top front. I cut it 4 small straps for the outer straps around my neck, very small because I like them to be small, and I use a clasp. And then I have my two fronts on the main piece, two backs main fabric, and two backs lining. The first thing we are going to do now is to pin our darts, 4 of them, and pin our center back seams. And we will sew over the center back seams for the lining and also for our outer fabric. So right sides facing together on my outer fabric, and usually I would tell you not to use this pattern as a reversible and then as a non-reversible because of the negative ease that was on my block when I started drafting my pattern. But in this case, I will let you know that we will do it, and we will even try to see how this one specifically, how it goes. But this is not ideal. Ideally, when I design the patterns and I tell you on the description that is reversible or non-reversible, the best that you can do is to sew it as I indicate on the descriptions. Because if not, it can fit you too small. If it's a non-reversible and you do it as a reversible, it will probably be too small. This one I made as a reversible, and I already sewed it once as reversible, so I already know how it fits as a reversible. And since I'm doing this test now and I'm not going to do it as a reversible, we will be able to see both results specific for the pattern. So we will be able to decide if this is okay to sew the pattern with reversible and non-reversible. Anyways, what I've told you in the beginning is that I'm going to use a mixed method. So this is, I'm not going, the other one I sewed completely as a reversible, and this one I'm going to sew some parts as a reversible and some parts using the non-reversible method, so it will be a mix. So let's start by going to the straight stitch machine to sew our darts and also our center back seams. I do darts in most of my patterns, so you can easily see in many videos that I do a line, a curved line parallel to the edge of the fabric, 1/2 centimeter in, and then I do the curve, and when I reach the fold of the fabric, I give more 5 or 6 stitches, I leave my threads, and then in the end I tie 2 knots and cut the excess threads. So let's do it. Let me just tell you that we can place right sides facing together for our straps. And I used 4 layers of the outer fabric because once I fold it, if I want to tie a small knot, you will see both fabrics, and that's why I did both in this fabric. But if you are using the clasp, as I'm going to, you can perfectly use the main fabric and the lining fabric to do these 2 straps for your top of your swimsuits. So let's sew all this. I now have my darts ready. Make sure that you sewed symmetric, correct? With your outside fabric facing out, the main side that you want to use facing out, okay, and facing out, and you sewed symmetric darts because it can happen, and it happened to me before, to sew the same piece to the same sides using the wrong side of the fabric. So now just tie 2 knots and do that on the main fabric, on the lining, and we are almost ready to go to our next step. Knowing that this is not going to be reversible, of course, you can be a bit more relaxed about the finish of your darts for the lining, but I wanted them to be made See, I told you I do this. So I'm not gonna edit, I'm gonna leave it like this so that you see how easy this is to happen. So I sewed exactly the same sides of the darts for the lining. So I have to take the threads and sew it on the other side so that they are symmetric. You see? I was telling you and now it happened. Okay. So you can see how common this is. Okay. So I've sewed my center back seam for my lining and also for my main fabric. And since my threads are white, I went to my straight stitch machine and using an elastic stitch, I stitch all around this center back seam, so I'm sure that once my swimsuit is on the correct side, I will not see any white threads when I stretch my fabric. So my back pieces are ready and my two front pieces are ready, except this. So this time I'm going to leave this like this. But it's very important for you not to do this if you are selling your swimwear. Well, I can't. I'm gonna remake this and I'll be back. Okay, I corrected. So now I'm gonna face right sides facing together. So my lining with my outer fabric. I'm going to pin the center neckline. And I'm going to sew this, placing elastic on top of my main fabric on my overlock. And for now, that's the only thing we are going to do. My two sides are ready. I'm going to pin the other side, so under the arm until the side. I'm gonna pin everything and I'm going to sew. And after this is done, we will reverse our straps to the right side, because we want our straps to be right sides facing our right sides, okay, like this. We will insert them here, close this and sew using the straight stitch machine. But this is where you have to choose if you want to have your smaller straps or your longer straps. It will be included in the pattern, and I will be sewing these now. These longer straps that you just fold in half, you sew along here with an elastic along everything, and you can choose to place these two, the small ones, with a clasp and use this as an outer swimsuit. Or you can use these ones after they are done and reversed, just like these ones, and insert the long ones inside here. If you insert the long ones, you will be able to wrap around your body and you will have a wraparound option instead of the outer. So this is up to you. On my other swimsuit that I've shown you before, the pink one, you can also see that video, because I've also added some other options. Which options did I add? Well, for instance, I attached a ring on one of the sides, and this is, it sounds strange, but then on your back you will have a ring, and I placed one strap small and one strap longer. And what happens is that on the end of this small strap I have the ring, and this ring will be on my center neck back, and the long one will go over my ring and straight ahead on my back, and I will sew the center strap on my back bottom, in the middle, in the center back seam of my back bottom. And you can see pictures of that option on my pink, in this pattern on our website, on the one that is pink. So for now I'm gonna reverse these two, and I'm gonna make these two longer straps. Probably I will use these ones instead of the small ones, because this is quite easy, right? You just place them small here, and then you put the clasp once they are on the right side, and you fold and you adjust the size of the clasp, and you sew the clasp on each side, and you have your top done. So I've never used the wraparound options. This is actually a suggestion of one of our followers on Facebook, Katerina. So I'm gonna follow her suggestion. Despite has a personal option, it's not my favorite, but I will do it so that you can see the difference between this option and the other one already demonstrated on the pink swimsuit. So I'm going to sew these longer straps with the elastic, and I'm going to pin and sew the below the arm, under the arm until here. So on my darts I always cut this a little bit on both sides, and I flatten the seams of the darts so that once I sew over this area, the seams will be flat on both sides, and this is not that bulky. Okay, so just don't forget, flatten this and sew over this area. So what do we have here? We have our front sewed on both sides, okay, and then we have the two longer straps that I told you I was going to do. I completely improvised, and this one I already reversed, and it's all the same with the same size, and this will be mentioned on the pattern. But this one I improvised, and I started with a sides, and then I shortened the height of the strap, and as you can see it finishes like this. So I wanted to see how this goes, and I think this is a better finish than this one, but let's do it and we will see, and we will choose this in the end. So next steps, reverse this front piece to the right side, and we will make a zigzag stitch, top stitch in fact, on each side here. But before we do that, we will, with the piece on the reverse side, we will insert the strap with our seam facing the lining piece. We will match here on the top, we will pin and sew, and we will do this for both straps. So once my straps are secure, as you've seen, I do this every time. I do this the same, diagonal to secure the overlock threads, and then straight stitch, and then diagonal again, and now this allows me to trim all the excess fabric. So now let's reverse our two fronts to the right side. So I designed the size of the straps so that they would do some like this, you see, like it's not even, but it's more or less like this effect. On the pattern probably I will make this, I'm not sure, I will think if I leave this like this or if I will place a strap with no ripple, nothing. Despite I like this effect, but I'll decide. So now for the fronts, for both of them, we will go to our straight stitch machine, and using a zigzag stitch or other top stitch that you want, since it must be elastic but the rest you can choose, I'm gonna do a top stitch here and also on this one. Our top part is ready with the top stitch made on both sides, and now let's face right sides facing together of the bottom parts. Let's align the sides, pin the sides and sew them, and let's do the same for the lining. Now, before I do anything else, I will just let you know that I'm learning how to apply the cups, and instead of the removable ones are easy, and I've showed you before on other tutorials that we can add or remove just leaving a hole on our lining. But in this case, or swimsuits, if you want to add a padding cup, what do you need to do? You need to sew the cup to the swimsuit. So in this case, before we finish this and before we did this, we should have, if we wanted this option, we should have placed the cup here, and it had to be sewn all around. I will have another video specifically applying these on a swimsuit, so that you can apply if you want as an option. That's it. Now that I have here my bottom with my sides ready, I want to align my top front with front, right? So if this was reversed to the right side like this, my two fronts will be here. But they are actually, they need to do this because the pattern one was designed this way. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my straight stitch machine with a very large stitch, and I'm going to stitch here just to be able to pull the thread and do some ripples on this area here. So on the pattern you will have a small trace, a line here, and this means once my top is rushed, or I don't know, ripple, or I don't know how to say, you will reduce this size to this piece, so it will be smaller. So this means that it will perfectly fit from the middle to each side once you stretch the fabric that the thread that I'm gonna put here, and it will fit perfectly and be a little bit smaller. So let's do that now. So as you can see, I left my threads, I didn't go back on my stitch, this is just a stay stitch, so I'm gonna pull the threads so that my top will be with some ruffles, or not ruffles but ripples or whatever, I don't know the name, sorry. And this means like this, that I can check in this line, if I fold this like this, until I have my my pattern reaching my neckline, reaching these parts. I need to pull my threads, okay? And then when the size it's here, it's fine. This is according to your taste, so you can do this, you can do it more here, or distribute along the entire line, you decide, okay? So this is optional, like you decide the intensity and the way you distribute it around your piece. Now mark your middle front and do the same for the lining with a pin. Do this and we'll be back. So now let's align our front, the middle with the middle, and right sides facing together. Okay, so here is the middle. I'm gonna put a clip for now. Align the front, and without stretching anything, just go around. Secure it with clips and do this until the back and until you reach the end here, and do exactly the same for the other side. Now grab your lining, and never mind my cut, I can sew this, probably I will, but never mind. So now that you have your lining and this is already secured, with your lining right sides facing together, so your seams are outside, you will match the front with the front, so inside here, and we will also match the sides And just like we did now before with the main piece, we will do it with the lining. So align the middle. I must mark the middle of my lining and then insert it as I was doing and clip, and then we will sew all around our waist area. So we have pinned and clipped all around front and also the back with our center back seam matching. And now we will sew all around these layers, so we need to be careful to make sure that we are really securing the 4 layers of fabric, at least in this area. So go ahead and very carefully make sure that you are sewing over the layers of fabric. But now I want to sew this because I want to apply elastic on the back parts. I will reverse the piece to the side of my red fabric because I want to apply the elastic on my outer fabric. So I just reverse everything to make sure that I'm sewing over with the outer fabric facing up on my machine. So I apply the elastic on the back, and once I reach the part where I have the 4 layers, I moved the elastic to the side so that I will only sew over the 4 layers and not applying elastic on that area. This means on the front I will not apply elastic. So we have now our waist ready. We can reverse to the right side to check if we sewed over the 4 layers and if everything is okay, and we should do it to make sure it's fine. And everything is as we want it to be, so it's fine. So our swimsuit is on the right side, and I now want to sew the crotch area. So if you place right sides facing together, so like this, just pin this and sew over this area, and we will do exactly the same. I'm just pinning this more or less. I will do it perfectly in a minute. And we do exactly the same for the lining. So again, we align all this inside here, and we want our seam to be on this side. We also pin, and we will sew over the 2 crotch areas. The seams from the fabrics will be facing each other, so you will not have seams in contact with you. So seams facing together on the crotch area. Okay, so let's sew over these 2 areas and we'll be back. So if you see my other video of the same pattern but the pink swimsuit, you will see that I sewed the entire piece as a reversible, and this one is not completely reversible, so you cannot see any seams in this area. But here, for instance, I did the top stitch, and here also the straps are made and then reversed, so they are also like this. And the center back seam is also very nice. And now for the leg holes, we just reverse the entire piece to the lining sides, and we will sew using the elastic. We will place the elastic around the entire leg hole, and after that we just need to fold and do the final top stitch, and it will be ready. So pin the leg holes, both of them, sew with the elastic placed on the top of your lining, and then fold the fabric and do your top stitch. I'm gonna do it so that you can see. If you are not visualizing it, you will see me doing it. Okay, so I've done my leg holes with my top stitch. And my swimsuit is ready. I'm gonna put it on and show you how it turned out. As I told you, I prefer this model, this pattern with the small straps on top, and use it as an halter swimsuit. And I would place a clasp on the top here, and I would just put it over my neck with the clasp. Or if this is a bit longer, you can tie a knot or a bow if you want. But as I told you in this specific tutorial, I made longer straps just to show you that yes, if you want the option with longer straps and wrapping around your body, you can do it. So I'm gonna show you, but I will also try to show you some other options for the way you put your straps that I think are very nice. And I hope you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel. And I hope to have your feedbacks on the comments or questions or whatever you want to share. Bye!